Hello everyone. Sire here. Thank you so much for joining me. I have a new release. This was released by Spellbinders July 31st, so I'm a little bit behind. I kind of wish I had this done so it was ready, but it is what it is, and let's just move on. There is no reason to dwell on past. And these are new dies, and I also have an embossing folder that were released, and they're by Esther Glas. And it's not a product I've actually played with before. This is different, but I'm drawn to it. I really like it, and I've always wanted to get into something more than just card making, just for fun, just for something for me to play. And this, I'm so glad, came into my possession. So I have two dies here. This is the Torn Edges with Tag Etched dies by Esther Glas. And you can tell it has the 3 rings. So this is the bigger one. I don't have a binder like this, but you can definitely get those. But I like all these other little elements on it. There's these banners. There's ones with little, looks like screws. Showtime, remember. So some sentiments here with the shadow dies. And then other little pieces. I'm not sure what that is. I probably should have looked it up. This looks like it tucks in kind of like a paper clip, paper clip, book corners, and then you got little more dots so you can turn anything into something like that. So you can take your ring binder and put them in. And then these are like little screws or little shapes, and that almost looks like a map pointer, you know, on like a Google Maps. So that is the one die. Then there is the second die, and this is the Torn Edges Cardlab Etched dies. And this one is real fun. This is what I really like. And I'll be creating my own little box to hold this for now. But it creates these 3 little tabs that will hold your index cards in place. I call them index cards, but it says Card Lab, so it might just be me not understanding the lingo, but they look like index cards almost. And then you have another layer here that has that torn edge. Is really cool. It also includes this tag with the torn edge. It has the sentiment splendid with the shadow. It has all the months in here, and it also has little dies that will go around and cut those months out if you would like. They're like the rings, but they're festive. They're winter, fall, spring, and summer themed, so you can add those. You can put them right here when you cut this out, or over here. And you have the traditional circles, and then this little fun tab one here. So this is what I've been playing with, and this is what we're playing with mostly in this video. And then I also have this fun Spellbinders in 3D embossing folder. This one's called Number Field, and it's a 3D embossing folder by Esther Glas. And it looks really cool. So I have a sample here that I use. This is the leftovers. So look at that in some white cardstock, and just look how nice that is. It is such a fun, especially for birthdays or anything that deals with numbers. It's just really cool looking. I don't have many 3D embossing folders. I had one and I put it in backwards and broke it, but we shall not do that with this one because I really like this one. So that is that. So we have these 3 dies. If you looked at the thumbnail and wondering, hey, that doesn't look like a new product, that's because I am using Spellbinders Weekender kit. I haven't actually used it yet. I was busy and never got a chance to play with it. And I love the product in that box. So if you happen to have that box, this is going to be fun because I'm going to be using that on these products. So sit back, relax, maybe grab a cup of tea or a nice cool beverage on this hot summer days, and let's create a card, or in this case, an index card. The first thing we're going to do is cut our card base from some Fern cardstock by Spellbinders, and that's going to give us that little nice framework where we can start adding some more pieces to it. I'm going to take that torn edge, which is going to cut exactly the same shape at the bottom, and that will be with the Rainforest cardstock from Spellbinders. Now that's pretty much the base of what we're going to be using in this particular index cards. So we'll put those dies away. And let's bring in some Rustic Wilderness ink. This is a dye ink, so it's not going to sit on top like an oxide. It's going to stain that paper with a nice dark green color. And I'm going to use just the edging. I'm not going to go too far in, and I'm not worried about the left side because we're going to be covering that anyways. But it's just kind of moving our way in, leaving the center-ish as untouched as possible, but trying to keep it smooth as well. And we're going to use the exact same ink on the other piece, but just be very careful when you're inking this because that piece at the very tip, the strip, it's very fragile. So I'm just kind of dragging the brush for the most part, just so that I don't accidentally crinkle or warp that paper. Next, we're going to create our sentiment, and I started off using the Fern cardstock and the same ink we used for distressing our base. But I realized once everything is put together, it's kind of dark and gets hidden, so we'll fix that later. But for now, we will go through and make our sentiment. It says, "Stay fierce." This stamp set is part of the Weekenders collection, or the kit that was, May? I believe it was in May by Spellbinders. So I'm just going to use it. Off camera, I created that really adorable bird, but I realized I was missing 3 pieces. So this is how I go about it. I don't remake everything. I just tear everything off and try to fix it. The beautiful thing about Spellbinders dies is that there are lines that are indented in each cut that tells you where everything is supposed to be glued. When I saw that, I didn't actually think there was pieces missing. I just thought it was, just the design, the pattern. And then I realized that the bird was a little too dark because there was nothing really breaking up those wings and tails. So it happens, and all you do is just be careful. This is one reason I don't fully glue everything down. I go heavy, but I don't go edge to edge. There's a lot of gaps, so hopefully when things like that happen, I can address them. The nice thing about this is that it's black, so if you see any tear marks, it's almost invisible because the black creates shadows and you don't see it. So there we go. We just fixed our little toucan there. I believe it's a toucan, and no one is the wiser that I had missed those blue feathers. But that makes a world of a difference, adding just that subtle color. I love this bird. It is so cute. I also didn't glue that right foot down because I'm going to be putting a branch in between it, and I want it to look like it's sitting on it. So off camera, I've also grabbed all the little die pieces. I've cut them in Rainforest and Peridot. The big ferns or the big leaves, I should say, are from the Rainforest and the Fern cardstock by Spellbinders. And then the branch is Acorn. So those are the colors that I've used. And then the flowers there are also Spellbinders cardstocks. And I'm just going to look at my little palette here to know the names. I believe we use Blush and Tutu. So if you have those colors, then that is what we used for this card. Okay, so we're just going to glue the torn edge down, but I'm not going to glue right to the torn edge because I'm going to do some tucking. I want to tuck in that branch, make it look like it's coming out and over. So I don't know exactly where it's going to sit. And so if we don't glue that all down, then we have some wiggle room. There we go. So that's what we're planning on doing. Once we're ready, we'll glue the bird down to the branch. And then we're also going to tuck that branch behind our torn edge. So it looks like almost like that is a forest top or some bushes or something in the distance, creating that little dimension there. That bird is propped up with some scrap cardstock because when we were creating the eye in the back, there's actually several layers. So I decided to match that all across. So that's why the bird is propped up. So keeping that in mind, we do need to prop up some of this branch. So I'm going to prop up only the right side of this branch so that it really creates that illusion that it's popping off the card. And then we'll just, because everything's in place, I don't want to move it around. I'm just going to glue it by bringing it up to my face and sticking that glue bottle in there and gluing everything down. So there we go. There's our bird. I love how big this bird is because it fills out this index card perfectly. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on any type of stamp or die that's large because it really helps create a scene without having to just fill it with a bunch of stuff or it becomes too bare. Now this is the fun part, is getting to play with all the pieces that are in this die set. There's some vines here. I did think about adding the vines to the top, but I decided just let's keep everything down to the bottom. And so those vines are from the Peridot color, and we're just going to use those because we already have those other two greens in the background. There is going to be a little bit of lift, but these are vines. It's okay if it's kind of not flat laying down. It's kind of up and down and all that. I think that is totally okay for a vine. And there we go. These dies are extremely easy to use. I just place things down and it just looks wild and great. We have two big leaves here with the holes in them, and we're going to use those to cover all the other pieces that we have. And those include these dangling little pieces. These are really cute. So they come in two sizes. I'm going to use, I think we're going to use the large ones. And we'll use the two, maybe one large and one small. Is that what we're going to do? Yes, there we go. And they're such fun little items that you can just add to the branch to create this illusion. Of course, if you had, for example, a vase, a small vase or something, you can actually flip that upside down and it'll look like a nice little fern. So it works in both directions, I think. Now let's cover up those ends with this big leaf so it looks like they're not just floating there. And we'll just put my tweezers down because I need something to just hold that down. We're building layers and it needs to be adhered. On the left side, I think we're just going to start working with the flowers. I don't think I'm going to add any more leaves or vines. I think it's kind of getting a little crowded. In the background, to fill it up, we have those two big leaves, and I think that's looking pretty nice. Unfortunately, I didn't think about it until afterwards, so I have already glued the bird down. So all we're going to do is we're going to grab some scissors and we're going to do a little surgery here. Just snip and then place down. Just don't over snip so that you don't accidentally make it too short or whatnot. And if you do, then just try to find another little element, a flower or something, to kind of hide wherever it's not looking correct. But I think this is looking pretty good. We have those stems hidden behind the birds, so they're not just a dead end. They look like it is cohesive and everything is working great. And once again, because I have everything already in position, I'm just going to hold it up and just get that glue bottle in there. You don't need to glue the whole thing. Just glue subtle areas and it will stick down. And there we go. This is one of my favorite cards. I'm so glad I decided to use these dies to play with. Now let's glue in our last leaf, and I think we're just going to add some flowers and we'll put the other greenery aside and we can put that on a different project. So just trying to figure out where we want our flowers. I'm going to kind of just spread them out to get that nice 3. I think I'll use just 3. I don't think we really need the 4th one in there. I think it looks much better. And we're just going to just gracefully glue these flowers down to our card. And I think this is just absolutely gorgeous. Of course, we didn't ink blend anything other than the background. You could totally ink blend, but I really like the simplicity of these pieces all there. Now, to get the sentiment a little bit better, I could have started over, used some embossing ink, and heat set this with white embossing powder. You'll get a totally different effect. It will look amazing. But I wanted to just use a simple white ink gel pen And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take my time and go over the font. If this doesn't work and it looks really bad, then I will do it one more time, actually heat bossing in white. But since I've already gone through the effort of die cutting everything, I will just take my time and just follow the font with some ink, just not doing the whole thing at once, just taking a letter at a time. Of course, with these ink gel pens, if you don't get enough ink the first time, just let it dry for a bit because you'll just start scraping the wet ink otherwise. So I'll get the first coat on, and then you can see the F is kind of faint. So I'm just going to go in there and go over it one more time with that ink gel. I really like this card. We could easily add other elements like embellishments, gems, whatnot. We can splatter it with gold. That would look kind of cool, or white, or just make it your own. I decided to go clean and simple. I really like how these things turn out. You don't have to worry about it going off the card or anything, because when you put it into your little box, there's room. At least in my box, and I'll show you my box. Please don't laugh too hard. I don't have anything fancy, so I just happened to find this box that I had in my stash, and I cut the lid off of it, and I just stuck 3 wooden skewers into the box on both sides, and then all you have to do is just stick that in there. And this is a cheap way of getting your index box started. So see how I mean? There's room. You can have them come out and forward. It doesn't need to stay on your card. I think this looks really cool. This is the best one I've created so far. I've created 3 others that I was using as testing just to kind of understand how the dies work. I created this one. It's pretty plain. I didn't have anything really play with that kind of matched that, but I thought this was good enough just for playing. The little banner here is on one of the dies, the heart. There's 2 layers here. All these products are Spellbinders. I think they're like, this one is probably from the 2023 Advent calendar. But we got that little die here. This actually creates a tag, and you can see that it sticks higher than your card base or your index card, but that can stick in there too. I might organize these to be by color or theme. We'll see. But you can kind of see they kind of work together. It's kind of fun. And when you fill it all up, it will look really cool. I created this one. This is using, the ephemera is from another collection, but the paper is from an old Spellbinders card kit. And this is just on a plain white one. I didn't do any distressing of like the torn edges. I just kept it nice and clean. So pretty much the ones I've been doing so far have been all clean, but you can definitely do something a little more grungy. This is not as grungy, but you can see I've ink blended it. I've brought in some Spellbinders birds in here, and there's the splendid die. And this is also an embossing folder that was released. I'll create something else with that as well. Maybe a nice birthday card. But it really creates this fun numbers background. And I use that distressed, or I wouldn't call it distressed. It's almost like torn paper. Maybe that's what distressed is. I'm not sure. I just like to throw words around. But this is all done with Spellbinders products as well. This is an old paper. And then you just stick them in there, and they go in quite easily. If you did buy the box, I believe it's on sale now on Spellbinders website. But in this case, I just created my own. And of course, my phone is so close. You can't see that well. I'm trying to put it on an angle here for you, but you can just slide them around, or you can index through them. There are dies that have the months on them, so you can create a collection of individual months. What I'm thinking about doing is anytime I get a nice die that fills in the spot like this, I'm going to see if I can make one of these and add to the box, because they're a lot of fun to make. And when you spend the time to just kind of fill it in, it looks quite nice. These were a little bit rushed because, like I said, I was playing and trying to figure out how the dies worked. So they're a little bit more sparing, but I still like them a lot. So there you go. This is a fun little project that I did not think I would be creating anytime soon, but when the opportunity came, I jumped on it. I just think this is such a fun little project. I really like it. It's something different than card making, but it's so close to card making because that size is there. And I love my little box, my index box that I created, and it's so simple to make. It's just a small little box that I measured these holes onto the side, punctured a hole. I just used my little pokey tool here, and you can use any pokey tool, just be careful with your fingers. And then you do both on both sides, and then the skewers work quite nicely for me anyways, but definitely if you want something a little more professional and specifically built for this, check Spellbinders. I'll put it in the description box below just so that you don't have to go searching for it and you'll know what I'm talking about. Well, I hope that you enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun making this. Very, very cute index card. So until the next time, have a fantastic day and I'll talk to you later. Bye.